Hello, everybody. This is Texas Danny coming to you from April the 1st, Thursday, April the 1st, 2021, about 10:30 p.m. here in Texas. I want to keep this short and sweet. Don't want to abuse it too much with my wonderful. This is a guy who's been off for weeks, but in misery because they're renovating my apartment all the way around. Can't break a loose when you call it tornado repairs, but you call it renovation. It is what it is, you know. They're getting away with it at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, let's get to the point, though, real quick on the earth checks, on an earth brief for everybody. This is my honest reporting, irregardless of my spiritual condition, which I want to mention real quick, as I am not trying to offend or hurt anybody with my comments recently that I've had. I've had some kind of leading suggestions and comments for some time now, because I'm leading people on a train of thought in a point, if you're at even halfway listening to me. Because we're in a conditional response kind of a situation right now. We, in essence, are in a fantastic, gigantic, holographic movie that's doing its own thing. It's got so many zillion, billion, billions of calculations to do per minute that it doesn't have time for small details. And as I was mentioning somebody in the comment, who a wonderful person out in Florida, she's kind of like a free radical roaming around a pinball machine. When she shows up, there's a hush that goes in the room because she thinketh. Okay? That is the situations with a lot of us. We're conscious entities inside a holographic matrix, which is running at a fantastic rate. Excuse me. This biology working at the same exact time, and isn't it weird? At a fantastic rate in this place, working the apparatus, and we have the situation with double dumbasses running the show, okay? And it's not good. Because it's like a situation, it's like what I've thought about. What happens when I step off the holodeck? Yeah. Well, I got to wonder about that one. So we have a situation right now where things are moving extremely, extremely quickly. I literally haven't been out of my apartment in like 3 days. It's about time to run out, though. Food's running out, that kind of stuff. And so I haven't been out to sea. Plus, I have vision problems, everybody. And, you know, I get the fun stuff where I look and I see a jet fly, and I get to see two jets fly, right? And they're like in proximity, and one's like the strong, solid jet, and then there's this fairly strong ghost echo jet, which, you know, is far too strong for like just a mistaken image or something like that. It's like it's double. It's phantom double, because that's in essence what I am and what a lot of us are in the situation where we're like our spooky action at a distance, our electron and polarity alteration, our different locations, our squib potential was in a different placement. And here we are at super, super high velocities coming into ourselves, right? Coming into our other, where the closer and closer we get, the freakier and freakier it gets. And as I'm looking down at this, this model right now on Google Earth, hopefully it doesn't go out. It's not my Earth, of course, the one that I grew up, as you see, I'm a man of physical age. Well, this isn't even the memory pattern, identity, ego, personalities, exact form. I could tell the difference, right? Still, I'm looking at me. I'm not looking at, Zod or somebody like that, like General Zod from Krypton. Something to think about. Well, I'm going on too quick, so I'm gonna go to a couple of quick points on the Earth, and just bring you to that. Number one, because the eastern movement of the North American continent, along with the Earth in declinations, is moving primarily east, and it's breaking east, southeast, northeast, all kinds of directions. Everything is moving sort of in every direction at once, okay? But the Gulf of California is widening and opening and splitting right into Southern California. I grew up in Los Angeles, okay? When I look at this version of the San Gabriel Basin. It's not my version of the San Gabriel Basin. My version was more like a big half moon thingy. And the Salton Sea is out of place. And the Salton Sea is where you can see a lot of splitting and changes. I'm going to mention some things that did not exist up until after my 2016 quantum jump in June of 2016. And that is, for example, one place is Mexicali, Mexico. Okay, now that came into existence slowly and steadily and grew bigger and bigger and bigger. So did Calexico. And of course, I've said this 1,000 times, but I'll say one more time. Baja California was a different Baja California. This one here is much, much longer. But then again, a huge chunk of the west coast of Mexico is gone. Just like a huge chunk of the east coast of Argentina is gone. A lot of the earth has changed here. But this is going right up into Southern California, and it's splitting. Now, of course, this isn't happening in a climatic detail suddenly where there's an upheaval. There's somebody's channel I want to recommend on that's Lucky Bulger, who's done a few shows on when he's checked on the earth. And he's checked into upheavals, he's checked into geographic changes. Now, I know everybody's got their kind of different area of detail that they like to get into. Everybody's varied and goes into different areas. I'm just going off what I see to me is obvious from my prior memory pattern. Why I have this retention of the strong, personality. For example, I wonder why am I not my ego or my person more like a strong echo to this identity here, this version of me, right? I wonder what, I am primarily, as far as I'm concerned, in my ego and my identity, my personality, I am the person who's from the outer edge of the galaxy, not from the inner Orion Spurs, that kind of thing like that. But that's just a kind of a placement designation for where we're supposed to be at right now. We really don't know. We're just getting information given to us through our stimuluses, and it's ironic, it's stimulus. And the things that I'm showing me are showing massive, massive progress towards a destination. Now, since I have a point of view, a point of origin from where I came from, I can look at X marks the spot and say, like where I'm at right now, they had a historic X marks the spot, like a Nightmare on Elm Street kind of thing like that. They've removed that. I think they removed that for reasons, okay? And it comes to us dealing with what we're dealing with right now, the vacants, okay? And there's something to be said for cool, cold, hard-headed logic, rational thinking, and that kind of thing like that. But there's also something to be said for feelings and logic and that kind of thing like that. Now, I personally do things I have to do to like reboot my brain constantly. Reboot. So I don't get downloaded permanently. So I biologically do that. I reboot. Kind of beat the system. So the system don't beat me. That's dirty, but I'm just giving you an idea of what's going on. As I'm looking all the way from our volcano image again, the Yellowstone Supercaldera, where I can see the huge track plates in the western United States. Just like I can see all the activity up into Canada, all the way I can see the plate rotation patterns in far west Texas. In North Texas, where I'm at, I can see the activities in the Four Corners area of the United States. I can see the great interesting things happening off Miami and into the Bahamas and with the Barbados track. And these things I'm mentioning to you folks because these are all so many things that we have to consider and we don't have time. Just like the mid-Atlantic and everybody, Washington, D.C. is rechanging its orientation. Its Potomac is now veering ever more off into a southeast direction where it used to be primarily south. Baltimore and Washington, D.C. are coming closer together, but at the same time being oddly split apart. And I'm seeing the highway systems and stuff like that being changed and rearranged for that reason. Just like when I look at Manhattan and the wonderful, interesting things about Manhattan, just like those movies, Men in Black, right in the center of Manhattan, Men in Black, activate that one, okay? What's that mathematical museum right in Manhattan? Well, Manhattan's got a lot of changes, everybody. Long Island's got a lot of changes. Canada, of course, we're looking at Greenland, we're looking at Iceland, and we're looking at the Nordics. We have I think you have to look at the Nordics, especially from Scotland. What is very pronounced is Scotland, up to Iceland, and all through Norway and Sweden into Finland. And we have to consider Copenhagen, very much consider Copenhagen. Keep that in mind, Copenhagen. Those things are all running. We've got the Carpathian tracks, the Romanian tracks, which are a clockwise rotation. Thus, what do we have going? We have the Geneva wave happening, which is affecting everything going down from Verona down towards Rome and the Adriatic, and it's going right out towards Crete, which is flowing right into Giza, where all that water is flowing. We have the situation, everybody, right now with the potential of the Giza Plateau and the multi-arrangements of mathematical symbolism in the pyramids in connection with mind. Now, what does this have to do with everything? If you are listening to somebody who's talking about being zapped from one part of space to the other, you ought to get that spatial bilocation is a big, huge chunk of what we're going through right now. And we have a relocation, a vast, massive movement of our physical body here. Super, super, super quick, moving through a lot of places and having its area charted out. I'm currently looking at southern Afghanistan and southern Iran and central Iran and central Afghanistan and seeing massive changes, the swirling patterns in there. Of course, all I have to do is look at the Gulf of Oman, see the Arabian Sea and those rotation plates all the way down to Madagascar. Look back at Antarctica, which is painted, everybody. That is the biggest thing. We have a paint job that's coming off Antarctica. I don't know why, but it's like somebody forgot to keep the paint going, and it's coming off. And these tracks are affecting everything all the way from Australia and New Zealand up to New Guinea, right up into Asia. We have a huge flow coming off of Nepal, Tibet, what used to be the Mongolian, the far eastern desert out there, of course, Tajikistan, in western China, that used to be, for me, the Mongolian desert, right? The bed of the Mongolian desert. So it was like 1,200 miles north, east of where it is, right? So it has moved massively, but the Earth is moving massively now. The whole of Central Asia is getting ready to come up. But again, these things are not catastrophic in consequence. We are being moved in extreme speeds through time and space, and our arrangements are being changed constantly. And we are constantly gaining and losing areas, our places, our people, our things. I am deliberately kept pegged, believe me, people. I'm zoned. It's like in a football game, right? They're spying the quarterback. I'm not the quarterback, but they've got a spy on my position. Every time I move, they watch me, right? And they're watching the spatial time locations all around us, and they're watching it move and change, and they know accordingly. That's why in the future, since my future self is coming towards me and I'm going towards my future self, I'm seeing the future thus as well quicker. Remember that I'm in polarity, an extreme opposite that's come close to itself in space-time. So my spooky action at the distance, which is me, is agitated because I'm so much closer, literally in physical space, to where I might have been when I was at the edge of the galaxy. And instead of being, I don't know if we moved out of Orion Spurs or Cygnus or wherever we're at right now. But looking at it, India, looking at the face of the Earth, our whole mantle is like a fluid, liquid, digital readout, okay? We've got massive amounts of information going into Eastern China, for example, coming off the rooftop of the world that area is flowing out because the Marianas Trench is flowing out. I would like to also, Hainan, if I'm pronouncing it right, that did not exist prior to 2016, maybe 2017. I literally watched that grow in size on Google Earth. Just watch like I'm watching the changes. Now, I do have my North American Atlas that I can spy over here real quick, and I see the physical changes, even though they're not as detailed and they're dated. Please also keep in mind, my Atlas is just rapidly disintegrating. It's like it's something. So that may be an effect of being kind of like, in a way, a sort of a shade, a human shade, if you want to put it that way, a living human shade. But right now, our activity is at the core, and all the activity and the power that's going all the way outward. This is an extremely complex, extremely sophisticated mechanism, but it's also on a scale and something as simple as an extremely, extremely small electron atom moving through space. This is not a elementary novel machine we're on here. We're on something of extreme sophistication, or we're embedded in a holographic system of extreme details. Now, this data is changing. We are also changing the data, because even though we are low on the readout, we're active because, believe it, we're thinking, we're conscious. The affected, the quantum affected, the Mandela affected, paranormal affected, if you will, can sense and see their reality changes. My best is kind of a shout out because I've been missing the guy, MA in the UK is on the front line, excuse me, right at 50523, which is vital, because we're right up there, brushing up against Iceland. And like I said, the show is definitely Iceland, but it's also a place that did not exist. Svalbard did not exist in my reality because the polar ice cap was up there, everybody. And Greenland would have been hundreds and hundreds of miles further to the southeast. A lot of us who have that recognition pattern have the old format of the old Earth there. So we have the recognition of the Earth in transition now. But this Earth is moving for example, if I get any sleep at night and I sleep and I say I get 7 hours of sleep, it'll be, I could literally wake up in a situation where Rip Van Winkle, I've woken up to an Earth that's 1,700 years older. Okay, if you understand that, geographically, is 1,700 old. I've only slept 7 hours in time, but I woke up to an Earth that is 1,700 years older overnight. And that doesn't count what happens during the day, which, another 1,000 years goes by during the waking day. But then again, it may slow down and it may come to a slow draw here. Now, what I'm seeing, and I'm going to put this in plain English, and I'm not going to detail, I am deliberately leaving a lot of information out. But here's what I'm reading. This is the side ledger, which I can read in plain English for some reason, as opposed to the blueprints, which I haven't the foggiest of what it means. But the operational procedures is an operation, and it's on course. The machine is functioning and is in closing its radius. It is breaking out its areas properly, basically according to this proper format. However, I do think there might be a problem or two, or something like that, based in with mass and that kind of thing like that. The elements are part of that, and the elements are expertly manipulated beyond what your common thought would be. Just think of water, everybody. That element is an extremely, extremely vital, important thing to us right now. Right now, the changes of just that element, water, H2O, going into the Amazon is changing Brazil drastically. Eastern Brazil is breaking out in kind of a wider rift, becoming drier in the south. Of course, Brazil is swinging out, so is North America. To my eyes, everything is closing in. To the statistical logistics stats, I'm sure they're going to keep measuring exactly. Now, we have hidden details, which are not seen by everybody. I can see them partly even without effort. They just come to me. And There's been some controversy on some other channels. We have to know that we have everything in tow. Now, you can see, like if you were to look at me as a water particle or something like that, or an element of hydrogen, or something, I'm a flake. That is true. Like a snowflake, I'm a flake. I'm a flaky person, but I'm a real flake. Okay, and I have my elemental. I've got my content. I've got my weight. I've got my measurement. Whatever my even minuscule impact I have weight. I have gravitas. I have gravity. Right. I have an impact, and I'm coming into a world which is massively full of that element, and it's everywhere, but it's manipulated in every possible way that you can think of, and it does a tremendous amount of things. It changes a tremendous amount of things, and it's going to be involved in the future in some amazing, extremely vital, important things that are coming up. Now there are, I'm trying to think of the art of talking. It would be clear as bell. Art Bell. Well, that's a reference for you, Art Bell. No, let's go with that one. Reference Art Bell, all the materials there. Reference George Norrie, go on back. Also, a shout out to all the diggers in Russia. Okay, you guys went down deep and boink. Yeah, I got you. So, we have what we have there, and we have to do the go inside routine. Takes look-see. This is how we're going to go inside. That boink ain't going to work. The only thing is how to do it. Spooky action at the distance. The electrons have got to spin in the right radius, the right velocity. We have got to solve the two-state solution inside, in here. Just as surely as I used to rub my temples, and when I had a headache, I didn't have no indentations. And I took too much aspirin, and I knew it. That's why I clogged the blood serum with aspirin. Okay, long one. Think on this one, everybody, right now. This ain't stopping unless it doesn't exist at all. But hopefully, we've got some level-headed people with a heart, no matter who you are, doing what you're doing. You try to follow a vacant off the holodeck, ain't going to do you any good. And that's me too. If I step right out and I'm gone, that's the way it's going to be. I'm not going to burn everybody in the holodeck because I'm saying screw you. I just want out of here. No, we have to secure both places together. Inside. Okay, Texas Danny out. Bye.